Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by Callum, James, and Alum in the studio. How you going, guys?
Very good, thank you. Happy to be
Not
here.
too bad.
Special guest return.
Yeah, special guest for, hopefully we'll see him a fair bit over the next few months.
Yeah.
So it's just a nice and easy one this week. It's a review roundtable, so we're just going to chat about what we've been watching and doing for entertainment. Who should we start?
Well, Alum's a
special guest.
guest.
What have you been watching? What have you been playing? What's been going on,
I'll
Alum?
start with what I've been watching. I actually watched the first episode of Severance yesterday. And
very good.
Even on my sister's LG TV with a 100 megabit down connection, it stuttered and stopped.
It's because you don't have an Apple TV, man. It's planned obsolescence.
They literally
They make
punishing.
it. They make the
on
quality
purpose.
worse and everything that's not Apple. You
What
should know
happened to
that.
the one I gave you? The Apple TV I gave you?
They're using that in the cinema room.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, but it's just, it really angers me, that's all. That, I have, it's not an internet issue, it's just Apple being vindictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about when we reviewed the show. I'm like, I don't like Apple, but the show is so quality that I'm willing to...
Again, we had a whole segment.
But before we get started in our rant about how much we love Ben Stiller and his works, please do tell Alan, what did you reckon?
Well, from the first episode, because I'd kind of seen it partly before at least, I really, the fact that they're setting up something much more sinister going on beneath the scenes. And just even the whole concept of that show where
Man, you have no idea.
you got your memory severed. So I'm quite excited.
You think you know what's going on? Man, you got to
I
watch
don't
it.
think I know what's going on.
No, you got to watch it.
But that still have to obviously give the rest of the season a go.
Just binge it.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
I'm just so excited for you, that's all.
More, I guess, completely, I've been watching Better Call Saul since
nice.
last year, I think. And I basically finished up the first, I think it was 5 seasons?
Yeah, it's up to season 6 now.
Yeah, so I finished up the first 5 seasons basically by the start of this year. And I think it was just about 6 weeks ago, or 7 weeks ago at this point, season 6 started, which is supposed to be the final season.
Yeah.
And
it's taken a break.
it's currently on break, but it is just a grand old time.
I think it's better than Breaking Bad.
I agree.
That was my question. I
Yeah.
was going to ask that question.
And I also am part of the group of people that think the general audience consensus on Breaking Bad is paying it a little too much.
Overrated.
Yeah,
Massively
I think-
overrated.
I think
It's not a bad show,
I
but
think
it's
a
not.
pretty good show. Yeah, it shows
I think Breaking Bad was a great show, but people overhyped
Yeah.
it so much.
It's the Game of Thrones problem.
It's one of
isn't
those things where it's one of those shows that it almost becomes someone's personality. Like, I'm a Breaking Bad guy.
Yeah.
Like
it?
they
Like
have
the
the stickers
Sopranos in the
and
90s.
It came out of that time of like just before streaming, but entering into when we started to get those kind of shows. So
and it was slightly dangerous. Like it was slightly because it wasn't HBO as well. It was
dangerous for the
AMC.
AMC.
Yeah.
Because no one, other than HBO, no one else had on Showtime. No one else had.
It wasn't
really-
your typical cable show.
Yeah. And I guess AMC had Mad Men around the same time as well. So it was the start of the golden age of television. But Better Call Saul is on another level.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best written shows.
I've never seen it.
Some people
so
think that they may need to, I guess, rewatch Breaking Bad to kind of refresh themselves.
I'm guilty of that. Alan keeps telling me to watch Better Call
I don't
Saul.
believe it. Considering it's a prequel, it's
It's
not
a prequel, but there are kind of... I don't know if spoilers is the right word.
I definitely think Alan's trying to sell me on watching Better Call Saul pretty hard at this point, but I always get the
think
feeling
you
I
can
should
enjoy
probably
it.
watch Breaking Bad
You can
first.
enjoy it without rewatching... Have you seen Breaking Bad?
I haven't finished it.
Okay. I think...
you should at least finish it.
Yeah.
You should at least finish it.
I think you probably don't have to watch Breaking Bad before Better Call
But it
Saul,
probably
but I
helps,
think it's
yeah.
recommend. Yeah, I recommend.
I also, I guess...
Did you watch the Netflix movie?
No.
Okay.
Because technically, chronologically, the Netflix movie's after.
after Breaking Bad? Yeah.
So I should... Yeah, so I'll probably finish Better Call Saul, then watch the Netflix movie. But I also have to take in fact that my memory is a little bit better than an average individual.
Yeah.
So I remember scenes a little bit better. So maybe not having to rewatch the show works for me. It may not work for every single person. So your mileage may vary. But the fact that they took, relatively smaller characters from the original show, fleshed them out to such a degree, gave them, such...
Prequels are generally awful idea.
Yeah.
And this is one of the best.
One of the best.
Prequels.
Yeah.
Well, is it because it's not really a direct prequel? It's not Walt, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's a side prequel.
It's taking a smaller character.
Sidequel.
Yeah.
So in a way, I guess that is probably what gives it a better defense against being a crappy prequel. In that it's not so.
It's also.
It's not.
It sets up
It's these
own
characters
little,
already, but before
its own little
different.
continuity.
It's its own little story.
It's also like, because prequels set, prequels often feel bad because it's like, this is how so-and-so met so-and-so.
Yeah.
This is how so-and-so got his jacket. This is how so... And obviously this show has things like that because it's a prequel. But it never feels cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it feels earned and it feels realistic, I guess. I don't know.
Because I believe that the current end of the show is supposed to go somewhere in the neighborhood of where, Breaking Bad's supposed to start, and possibly also you see technically further than where Breaking Bad went.
Yeah, it's also a sequel, which that's probably
certain
why
parts
you need
are
to
a
watch
sequel.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, so you're seeing kind of two different bits of time closing in on. Yes, you've got that whole predestination idea that you know what happened in Breaking Bad, so certain things you're just like, well, this is going to happen, but there's so much else happening around that you're so invested for these characters and what they're going through.
Yeah.
So I'd highly, highly recommend.
Yeah,
Better Call
definitely. It's one of the best shows on TV, I think.
Yeah.
And it's shaping up to have one of the best endings. I'm hoping they can stick the landing.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll disappoint. Vince Gilligan, for me, has anything he does, I'm there. He's one of those.
Yeah.
So especially after this. So
I saw a great meme today on the Twitter, but it had who would have thought in the year 20 if you were to go back in time and tell someone in the year 2020 these are going to be two of the best directors going around, and it was a picture of Ben Stiller and Bill Hader on SNL, and I thought that was funny because of course Bill Hader's famous in the news, I should say, at the moment, because the Barry finale was apparently spectacular.
Yeah,
but Severance was also making the rounds a few weeks ago.
definitely.
And I thought that was really interesting that you had two SNL guys currently doing real heavy drama.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Sorry to change the subject, Alan.
No, it's all good. I'm relatively finished, I'd say, at least on the television front. Yeah, if you need a show to watch, get on it.
Yeah, well, in a few weeks, the final few episodes will start airing.
Yeah.
So if you wait just another few weeks, then you can binge the whole 6 seasons.
Yeah, and it depends on your own speed. Some people could start now and then be ready as the final bit comes out.
Yeah.
Some people watch a season a day. More power to you. I can't do that.
Yeah.
All right, Callum, I guess what have you got for us?
Well, I was watching Raised by Wolves. I did stop for a while. And I...
Look, Alan is making faces.
No, it got cancelled.
We'll get there.
Oh, what? Oh, I haven't even started it.
No.
Yeah, so don't start it now.
So I started watching Raised by Wolves. I got really into it. I stopped because of work. My work schedule keeps changing, so I've also had chair troubles, which is another issue. So anyway, I saw the headlines that HBO Max ended up cancelling a couple of shows.
Yeah.
It's like the Netflix dominoes started to topple. Now everyone's like, wait, we can cancel these commitments?
Yeah.
We've
got enough subscribers.
Apparently, Raised by Wolves wasn't pulling the numbers that they wanted it to pull, and so it got cancelled.
Well, allegedly, from what I've read on the internet, Raised by Wolves was an HBO show for season 1. And an HBO Max show for season 2. Which
so they already moved it to
it to HBO Max, but I think it was a co-production with another company for season 1, and it was only HBO for season 2. So HBO weren't willing to put as much money in as the season really required.
Yeah.
I haven't seen season 2, but allegedly there were CG issues.
I personally think the overall quality of the season did suffer.
Yeah.
There were spots where they probably should have put a little more.
Yeah, so allegedly it was more of a financial issue for Raised by Wolves, so maybe not getting...
Yeah. That was super disappointing.
Yeah, well, because I remember seeing the trailer and go,
I was regaling you of how great it was.
I like sci-fi, it looks interesting, but there's so much to watch, I don't have time. Yeah. And then Callum was telling me that Alan told Callum to watch it, and then Callum was like, oh my God, it's like this, and this happens, and there's this. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really interesting, I'll start watching it. And now I'm like, oh.
I'm probably going to finish watching it just cause, but super disappointing.
We need to send a letter to Jeff Bezos. Say, please,
Yeah,
you got rid of the Expanse. Can you give us something else? Like
shoot a letter to Mr. Home Box Office.
It seems like the staff and the writers and a lot of the stars of the show are actually hoping somebody else picks it up. They're
stranger things have happened.
Yeah, they're actually pleading, so maybe somebody will hear it, because I feel like, again, it had a solid fan base.
Yeah,
it had a solid story to tell.
It did.
The jaded part of me says, if they're not going to save Hannibal, why would they save Reasonable?
Why is everyone going to hurt me?
But
no.
That's got nothing to do with the quality of the show. It's just like, how much money does it make us, and how many subscribers does it get us? That's all they care about.
But anyway, always going to get hurt. Mindhunter goes.
Yeah. Oh, don't bring up Mindhunter. Stop it.
I'm still caught up about Dark Crystal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's not get into this.
Let's not get into Netflix cancellations, because we'll just end up crying.
We've all been
Nathan, turn my mic off. I'm going to just quietly sob.
All right, James is off mic.
We've all been burned. We've all been burned. So I've been watching movies for lately, because I can sit in a short period of time and get through a film, whatever. I've been watching some older ones. I watched Speed, Eraser.
Nice. Wait, Speed the bus that couldn't slow down?
That's correct, with Keanu Reeves. It's a classic.
It's such a good movie.
And then they get off the bus and there's like subway fights. Yeah. It's awesome.
Pub quiz, hotshot.
Yeah.
Such a good movie.
But I wanted to bring up two of the movies I watched recently. I've been on a bit of a Cronenberg trip because, of course, Cronenberg has his new film coming out soon. Not in Australia, as far as I can tell.
It might come to the Nova, but they haven't put it on their release schedule yet.
I looked into it, and as I couldn't find it anywhere with current dates.
Yeah.
Just an August Blu-ray release.
In the US.
Yeah. So as far as I'm aware, they just skipped Australia.
This is probably going to be like Possessor, where I had to import it. I don't think
we don't import.
Yeah,
I do. If it's not available,
there are other means.
Convenient way, we take it.
But this is one we really want to support.
Yeah, that's right, and it's unfortunate that they're not allowing us to support it as directly as we can in some other places.
Yeah.
So I decided to revisit some of his back catalogue that I haven't seen in a long time. I rewatched The Brood, which is a kind of clumsy. But really fun horror film.
It's one of his earlier movies.
Yeah, but like it's like little children killing people, and I'm like, it's kind of weird.
It's fun though.
It's clumsy, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Like the drama is kind of strange.
Did you watch The Dead Zone yet? I keep watching.
I've seen The Dead Zone many times. It's on my list to rewatch. It's a classic based on the Stephen King movie.
Yeah.
With Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Watch in time. But I rewatched Scanners, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Made on a budget, but so well done, so well executed. And of course, as James knows, and Alan off air, I've been really into remote viewing. So the notion of psychic phenomena is connected to it's really hot right now.
Yeah.
So it was fun to revisit that, especially with the head exploding sequences.
Yeah. Well, it's become a meme now that people probably don't even know where it's from.
Yeah,
the guy's head exploding.
Just a really unique interpretation of that theme. Like the way they scan, the camera angles they use, they show the people concentrating.
Yeah.
There's no special effects per se. It's just audio and facial expressions to note everything.
Yeah.
Which is a really great way to do it. It's really bare bones, but it works so well.
Yeah, Cronenberg is, even in the earlier, clumsier films, if you want to use that word like you did. He's a master. Yeah, even the little guys in The Brood, they have the prosthetics on or whatever, but they move in this kind of awkward way because they're kind of they're not spoilers for The Brood, and they're not like they're kind of like born artificially, so to speak. Also, like all these movies have a psychological element, so it's never just the monster, the rubber suit monster. It's always like there's a reason why.
The Brood is like child abuse elements, and there's like the failed marriage and the love and the psychotherapy element, which is really fascinating about a guru who thinks he can cure people using what was the word? I can't remember the word he uses, but it's like some special type of mental help, self-help kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because like you think he's the bad guy, but it turns out he's kind of this middle character. But super weird film, but it does hold up. But Scanners is spectacular. Classic. And of course, the reason I'm bringing this up is the trailer for Crimes of the Future has been like fully released, and it looks awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The more ears you put on Viggo Mortensen, the better. I'm so keen.
Viggo Mortensen's like one of the greatest actors of all time, and him and Cronenberg's team-ups have been stellar in the past, so
Yeah, and I've also been... Oh, sorry, James, go on.
No, I was just going to say this is Cronenberg's first movie in 8 years.
First body horror in a while too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First,
Well,
like,
we talked...
proper
I think we
body
might have
horror.
mentioned it on the... Did we talk about Possessor on the show?
Yeah, we did. We did a review
Yeah.
of it.
And we might have mentioned the fact that apparently Cronenberg visited his son's sets, and I guess it kindled something in him.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that.
So I think seeing his son doing, following his footsteps was like, oh, this is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is fun, or you think you can do this?
I'll show you, Sonny Jim.
I know when we reviewed Possessor that Brandon Cronenberg, his son who made Possessor, had a whole bunch of projects lined up, and then COVID happened. And so I'm hoping that we hear something about that soon too.
Yeah, well, I think like I said...
Now we got 2 Cronenbergs working at the same time.
Yeah, well... I know.
What a time to be alive.
Like I said on the view, the flesh apple doesn't fall far from the bone tree.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I've also been, and this shows how eclectic my tastes have been lately. I've been watching Nora Ephron movies as well.
She's a master, man.
Best screenwriter in the industry while she was alive.
Alan's looking
down.
confused.
No, I have something else on mind.
Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail. Classics.
Yeah.
I will
They're
fight
just
anyone
classic
who disagrees.
comedies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Harry Met Sally is an amazing movie.
Yeah,
So
it's like
good.
perfectly written. And it's funny, I read an article about how awful You've Got Mail is because it's about a big business owner.
Oh, yeah, it's toxic.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
Subduing a small business, finding out that, like, he knows that, like, it's about anonymous pen pals, but he figures it out that he's the pen pal of the small business owner.
Yeah.
He ignores it until he crushes her business, and then he's like, "It was me all along," and then they live happily ever after. Hilarious.
Movies, romance, rom-coms
no,
are
no,
weird.
no, keep on.
so
Keep in mind,
Rom-coms
Nora
are weird.
Nora
All of
Ephron
them.
is was such a master screenwriter that you watch it and you don't really pick that up.
Yes.
It's
when you
woven
say
into-
it out loud.
it's woven into
all
this.
rom-com, because movies are like emotionally manipulative.
Yeah.
All rom-coms, you're like, oh, I'm so happy they ended up together. But if you actually think about
Yeah,
the steps,
the
of, like,
circumstances. Yeah,
People would go to jail for
the
some
whole
of these things,
like
or, you know.
stalking
Yeah.
the woman until she
Loves you,
relents. Yeah, it's just like
it's woven into this saccharine, funny, sweet romance kind of comedy.
yeah.
Dave Chappelle as well. I forgot Dave Chappelle was in it. Like,
Oh really?
yeah. Anyways, this is a great movie with a
Oh,
really,
yeah, is he the assistant?
with
Yeah.
a really weird message. So yeah, go give Nora Ephron some love. She
Alan's
deserves
like,
it.
I have to watch this movie. Yeah, so we might go to a very quick break. I'll be back after this. You are back on the Tuesday review, and Callum was talking about Nora Ephron movies.
Yeah, I'm all done. It's
Oh,
just
there we go.
like as far as I'm aware, there's no great rom-coms being made with the same level of screenplay
Well,
that I can think of.
Not just rom-coms, but just normal comedies. They don't really make them
Yeah.
Well,
for mainstream cinemas. It's all streaming stuff now. So
and they're very targeted. It's like
yeah.
it goes back to what we always say, right? If it's not a Marvel movie, it's not airing in the theaters anymore.
Yeah.
To a large extent. And a lot of these movies, they're not going to come to the theaters because they're not going to make enough money. So
Yeah.
all the comedies like that, they're kind of aimed at sort of your old audience, like your Downton Abbey movies or your
Yeah.
movies aimed
Even
at
like
sort of...
stoner comedies they don't make for the movies anymore. Rom-coms they don't make for the like.
yeah. So now they're all on streaming, and usually they're more targeted and not
Yeah.
general, or if they are general, they're just terrible.
Yeah, they're forgettable. Yeah.
So it's harder to have a good movie like that anymore.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I haven't watched too much lately.
So as for me, well, I'll start with something that me, Callum, and Alan have all been doing lately,
Oh yes.
Right. which is hauling freight around Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
Yes. So we all discovered that through, I guess at one point or another, we had all purchased Euro Truck Simulator 2.
Separately
Yes.
of each other without
Yes.
knowing.
And Alan's a massive fan of this game. I thought, it's something we can play
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
We'll give it a go. And on paper, it doesn't sound that fun. You know what I mean? You're driving trucks from city to city and delivering goods in exchange for cash.
Yeah.
It's a simulator.
It's a simulator. On paper, it doesn't sound that fun. In practice, it's amazing. You're loving, 75% of us here love this.
It is a great.
You guys were telling me about
we've
this.
had audio because we play and we're on Discord. You can also stream the game on Discord. We've had both Jake and Daniel, friends of the show. They both also enjoy the hell out of watching it. So it's not like you would think that it's how silly is this that we're enjoying playing it, but there's people that are enjoying just watching us do
It's enthralling. I'm telling you, it's something completely different than what you expect.
Because basically, for people who don't know, you're basically just driving down a highway in a
semi-truck,
freight truck for long periods of time.
Yes.
And occasionally something will come up and you have to...
Occasionally weather will change or there might be an accident on the road.
There's speed cameras everywhere.
Or speed cameras.
You were telling me you have to stop at
way stations.
Yeah.
You got to reverse the truck up if you want a nice experience bonus.
Yeah. And you can run your own company.
Yeah. We also drag race on the freeway, so we're blocking all the lanes going.
The full trucking experience.
You're telling me there's convoy mode?
Yeah, we play in convoy mode, which is how we can play together and see each other on the map. And internet radio is a feature, right? So we can all listen to an actual live radio station that's broadcasting through the internet somewhere. I listen to, was it Jazz London Radio or something like that, and that plays jazz and blues and other kind of music.
Yeah.
You can even listen to 98.9 Northwest FM.
You can program it in to listen to 98.9 because it's like a notepad. So if you get like your IP address sort of radio streaming link, you can plug it into the game yourself as well.
That's cool.
So it's like if you have a
they
personal...
should do that for GTA.
Yeah, they should, because these are like the free kind of stations where they don't, you know, it's public radio essentially.
Yeah. I guess you could mod it if you're on the PC, but
stuff like that. It's also, it adds to the immersion.
Yeah,
because like you can hear people talking about current events and like
it's not a fake radio.
It's not a fake radio station. Like these things are actually happening right now, and that's like, for me, that's one of the things that really sold the game. As weird as it sounds, it does its best to like pull you into the world.
Yeah,
and that means being like, you'll be hear someone talking about current events. You're just like, this is so strange. I'm driving a truck in a video game and someone's talking to me about current events on the radio.
Yeah, me and Alan were listening to the BBC discuss Boris Johnson's future.
As you're driving from Scotland to London. Yeah.
We're in Europe too.
But you know, like as it is a simulation, you're supposed to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, you do suffer some consequences.
Yeah, it's not burnout.
Such as rolling a truck twice, Cal. I mean, look, let the one who has not rolled a truck, throw the first tire iron, because I was at one point in debt in the game because I had destroyed my entire truck and the load, and I got no money. And then had to
you're encouraged to take a loan from a bank to buy a truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do enough deliveries, you earn enough cash, they'll be like, okay, here's how much we'll lend you, and then you can purchase a truck off credit.
Yeah, and over time you can, you start off with a garage, you can increase the size of that garage, hire more drivers, buy more trucks, have them work for you, buy more garages around. So there's solid progression to be had.
And there's expansion packs too. Yeah. Like I think the base game starts with like France, Germany, Netherlands,
a bit of Poland, and
a bit of Poland. But then we got the Essentials pack, which
have they ever made an Australian expansion?
No,
it's Europe. This one's Europe focused. There is an American one too.
You can get Australian decals for your truck though.
Nice.
Yeah, but we got we got the Netherlands one, like the Norwegian countries pack, and there's Poland there's a Russia pack.
Yeah. These are, because I know I've heard, because you see them on the shelf and you're like, who buys these? But I know
we do.
Well, you guys do. But I know in Germany they're like the most popular games ever. Like all those
Actually, I remember joking back before Alan was at uni and when he was driving with his dad. I remember us having a conversation about Euro Truck Simulator. Yeah. When we used to laugh because Alan would spend all day with his dad in the truck. He would get home and relax after work driving a truck in a video game.
It's like those soldiers who in Iraq who play like war games and stuff.
It's like when I went to PAX, they had I think it was American Truck Simulator that they had going. And I was like, nothing like, getting off a day of truck driving to start truck driving.
Yes.
There's a fun to it.
But there is. It's a fun.
Do you wear a cap and have...
it's a game I didn't know I would enjoy it until I played it.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah, and there's plenty of mods. Like there's mods galore. When I was playing solo back in the day, I installed a mod where my truck had 500,000 horsepower and it had a transmission that would be appropriate with it. So
as soon as you hit the throttle, you get
so the truck would get up to like 340 k's, and the moment you hit something, you were just a torpedo. And so there's plenty of fun to be had. Like I think some people are making different maps for it. So if you want to have like a real technical hill climb or something real difficult, like there's a huge community behind it, which is really great. And the game's years old at this point.
Yeah. We got I think there's like something like there's over 100 pieces of DLC.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, obviously I'm not going to get that into it.
Yeah, they still update it.
They update it every year, every month.
For the flight simulator, there was the recent Top Gun add-on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Flight Sim. That's another one that's too big for me.
Game's nearly 20 years old. Oh, sorry, 10 years old.
10 years old.
Euro
Euro
Truck
Truck Simulator 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're still supporting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just got another expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
somewhere.
they're going to delay the Russian expansion for a little bit due
Yeah.
to...
Isn't it out already?
I thought it was still coming.
Oh, it's still coming. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. But yeah, that's
Or they might have
understandable.
taken it
Yeah.
off the menu for a little while.
Yeah, understandable.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things where as long as they support it, people will be happy. Because you know what, it's old, whatever, but it's amazing. It's fun.
Yeah, well, people still
Yeah.
play it. It's still got a big community.
Another
so-
game me and Alan did enjoy briefly together was Barn Finders.
Oh, God.
See, it's keeping on our little sim thing we got going on.
Was it Barn Finders or Farming Simulator?
Both. We enjoyed. I think we enjoyed Barn Finders a bit more
Oh,
than
yeah,
the farming.
sorry, I
simulator.
forgot about Barn Finders. That was a grand old time. Yeah.
So if you watch
Explain.
Storage Wars,
Yeah.
it's that.
Storage was the game.
Storage Wars the game, and I would. Me and Alan would help me while I stream the game through Discord, and
Yeah.
we would play it. And it's the most stupid stuff, but it's just funny.
So it's like
fun.
American Pickers. Or
Yeah,
whatever
it's American
called.
Pickers. The video.
So,
Yeah.
so you bid on you can bid on a storage container, and then outbid everyone, or whatever. Hopefully you win. Go inside, you see what everything's worth. You put it on your truck, you send it away. Then you got people coming into your store to actually buy, and you can haggle with them. And you have to. It's like a
so
time.
weird because
It's like a quick time event to see how successful you are with the haggle.
yeah, and I was pretty good at the quick time event, and it made me feel like a bad person. Because
Is
you
it-
put the product up on the shelf, right? And there's a recommended retail price on the shelf.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, I'm interested in this. And there's a quick time event that says, no, you pay me more.
Yeah.
You want it, you pay me
Wait,
more than what the shop price
Why would
is.
that be an
I
option?
don't know, but usually you would have say this item's worth $250. You start with an offer that's like $220, right?
Yeah.
Instead, the item's worth $250. They start with an offer that's like $260, and you're like, no, I want more. And if you
That
haggle,
doesn't make any
if you haggle
sense.
really well, you can haggle them multiple times.
And this one poor guy
He's
came
like-
in every time.
He was a lovely Rastafarian gentleman.
And we would always rip him off so hard.
Is it stylized, like cartoonish, or is it like a simulator kind of?
It's I'd say it's halfway. It's not super realistic, but it's not super stylized.
Okay.
It's sort of in between.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of fun. It gave us a goof. It was a goof. It gave us a laugh. As for TV movies, I started watching Fringe,
Oh yeah, we were
which
talking about that.
we
off
got
air.
HBO Max recently. And Fringe is a hard one to find in Australia.
Watch
It's like,
The Wire, damn it.
Yeah, I know. I got to finish The Wire.
You still haven't finished it.
I'll get there.
I am outraged, sir.
It's a scandal.
I know it's a scandal.
Got to watch Oz first so you can see what the prison system is really like.
Yeah,
It's true.
Oz, then Sopranos, then The Wire, and then you've seen
the Holy
everything
Trinity.
you'll ever need to see.
No, but my point with this is, it's just disgusting how hard it is to see some shows in Australia.
Yeah.
Like Fringe is not a new show.
No.
It's finished. It's not a new show. The only way I can watch it is by watching or subscribing to watch it on a free-to-air channel's optional subscription service, watching it in standard definition with ads.
Yeah.
It's a bad time.
Hmm.
It's 2022.
The rights issues in Australia are a mess.
I've also been catching up or trying to catch up on Dexter.
I don't. I was going to say, do you think it's going to be worth it in the end? Because I haven't seen what's been happening, but
Oh, look, I haven't seen the new seasons. I don't know.
yeah, I've heard it ends just as poorly as the
And
last
we haven't.
season of the show.
This is maybe a large conversation, which I'm glad Alan is here for because he has some exposure to this as well. It's a YouTube phenomenon, I suppose. I've been interested in. I watched a channel called Bald and Bankrupt recently. Mr. Bald. He's a mid-40. He's a mid-40s guy or whatever, and he lost his job. He had £1,500 to his name, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to buy a camera, and I'm going to India, and it's like a travel
Oh
log.
yeah, you told me about
Yeah,
this.
and it's fascinating because he travels in like areas that aren't just we'll say tourist destinations.
Yeah.
And he visited the real India, and then he did a long time in post-Soviet states and Russia,
Yeah.
which obviously he's taking a break because of what's going on
Yeah.
in the Ukraine and Russia areas. But he did Syria recently, which was very interesting because a lot of these will say more isolated Middle Eastern countries. They don't get a good rap in, we'll say, Western media necessarily.
Yeah.
and for a
When
good
you
reason.
when you think of like vacation,
We'll say-
holiday destinations, you don't think of Syria.
Well, that's what I'm bringing up, right? So he jumped through all the hoops.
Mm-hmm.
He went to, I believe, Lebanon, got a visa to go to cross the border to Syria, and had a good old Syrian holiday. And it looked like a grand time, but is it dangerous? Is this sort of traveloguing in risky areas? It's a big thing on YouTube, and I love it. I love to watch it because it's interesting.
I thought that's what the channel was about. It's like, look, it's more risky than going to Rome, but
I think a lot of the time his channel is quite safe because, like, India, it's like he knew enough Indian, I believe, to get by.
He's not going to the tourist India.
No,
he's going to.
But 90% of his channel is like he knows how to speak Russian and some of the other sort of Soviet languages.
Yeah,
so he's fine.
That's an added layer as well. Like most people wouldn't.
No, but he goes there and he's like, look, it's like, especially I do appreciate him for these, we'll say, visiting the areas that possibly no one else kind of visits, and he shows it normalizes the humanity of some of these poorer countries or like things that we don't really think about. And then he's like, when he visited Syria, I'm like, yeah, but it also could be spreading a dangerous message if he's telling everyone that it's perfectly safe and like it's a good country to visit. I'm like, yeah, because he was allowed in and he got we'll say a special exemption, or he got a guided cushy tour. And it's like, is it still like there was when he was there's still a war going on. Between some resistance fighters and the government. I'm like, is it a good thing that he's doing, or is it dangerous?
Well, that's what I found interesting is when you told me about it initially off air, I assumed he was being transparent enough that it was obvious that a normal person couldn't do this. If you were going to do it, you are putting yourself at risk. However, now the way you're describing it sounds more like he's just going like, oh, it's really cool here if you go down this dark alleyway, and he doesn't actually explain that he's experienced. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like he's in a privileged position and he doesn't necessarily advertise that to the viewer, and that's what I think is dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I'm conflicted.
I think, like all he has to do is be like, it is dangerous, but here it is if you want it.
Yeah, because there's another YouTuber called Indigo Traveler, which does similar videos, but he's always honest about it. And like when he visited, I think he visited Iran in one video, and he was like, yeah, they kept me and they were interviewing me for like 6 hours. It was not a good time.
Wow.
I'm lucky to be alive. On to the next video. Like he takes it more with a more sort of gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
And they're really interesting videos, and I think everyone should watch them. Maybe just be aware that maybe you shouldn't be going to countries that have warnings necessarily.
It's always very important to acknowledge that this is a curated view, even though it seems to be more grassroots because he's a guy with a camera on YouTube, not a television program trying to sell you tickets or anything. It's still very much a curated view of he's only showing you that part that he wants to show you. There may be somebody heckling him on the street or something, or somebody following him around they have to get away from.
They edit as well, yeah.
Exactly. I think that's what Alan put it in better words than I could have. I think that I think it's very interesting, and I think people should watch these sort of channels, but just be aware that it's probably not as safe as they want you to think it is.
Yeah.
Back onto, I guess, more positive things. I've been watching Bleach, the anime Bleach lately, which I'm getting back into. I watched it years ago, and then I guess I stopped, or we didn't get any more DVDs or whatever else. And it's good. I'm having a good time.
I've never seen it. Like, I've heard of it. And
it's good.
It's one of the classic. It's one of the classic animes.
Yeah, no, I know. Everyone used to talk about it, but I never actually
read the comics first.
Yeah,
because the show still hasn't finished. Like the comics are done. The show's trying to catch up.
Well, the show.
How long has it been?
The show got cancelled technically, and after more than 5 years, I believe, because there was a bet placed on this, they decided to finally animate the final arc, and it's supposed to come out, I believe, somewhere towards the tail end of this year.
Like, how long is it? How many seasons are there? It's been on for.
There's a few. There was 10 or 15 seasons?
Wow.
Yeah, and then it got cancelled.
It only went to about 360 episodes though, so it's not as big as
but
your Naruto's and your One Pieces, which are over 1,000 at this point.
Wow.
That being said, if we're on anime talk, there is another anime coming out towards the tail end of this year. Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
What is this?
Oh boy.
It is a man who was also a chainsaw.
Well, so a little bit of context. In this world, there are many demons.
I'm going to look this up.
And the demons are based off what people are afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, there's a demon for death, a demon for guns, a demon for knives, whatever. And one of the demons is a chainsaw demon. And this young boy kind of becomes intertwined with the demon, and he becomes the Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, he can. He looks like a normal guy, except he's got a ripcord on his chest. And
yeah, I'm watching the trailer now.
He, like I read the entire manga. Callum has also read the entire manga.
Yeah,
it is
so good.
One of the best.
Yeah, it's
mangas.
next level. Yeah,
and so if you're an anime kind of watcher, you don't want to read. Tail end of this year is coming out. Oh, it's
it actually had the story.
Is it on Netflix?
I don't know.
I don't know where it's going to be on, but we'll get it.
The story is actually very complex. It's very. It's got a deeper story than it sounds like. It's not just about demons fighting. There's like celestial stuff, like people go to hell, and there's like a pecking order in hell, and the Chainsaw Man is at like a weird place in the pecking order, and everyone's afraid of him in hell. And when I say Chainsaw Man, I'm talking about the demon, not the guy on Earth.
Yeah.
So like he's got the chainsaw is really cute. It's like a little puppy with like a little chainsaw thing. Anyway, there's this whole big cosmology to it. There's like FBI. They're like kind of like an CIA kind of agents in charge of killing demons.
Yeah,
Men in Black.
You call them Men in Black kind of situation.
Yeah, and so he has to work with these people to track down the gun demon, who's this legendary mass murderer. And they believe that only the Chainsaw Man is powerful enough to kill the gun demon, and so it's this big sweeping story. I say sweeping; it's not that long.
Suitably bonkers.
Yeah,
it is
it's
bonkers.
It's not that sweeping.
It also deals with a great amount of human emotion and the toll that this sort of thing would have.
Yeah.
On the people
on a person. Yeah. So it's definitely one to look into because it's so multifaceted.
For interested listeners, interested in anime, and you're looking at the different anime services. Learn your lessons from me. I initially subscribed to a service called Anime Lab, and as soon as I'd put the money down for the free trial, so it was okay. They were like, yeah, nah, Crunchyroll bought us. You could pay for Anime Lab, but we're not getting any content now. Thanks, bye. Shaka.
What?
Yeah.
So
Why don't they just port you over to Crunchyroll?
Because they don't want to, and they just rather make extra cash.
Yeah.
And so then I cancelled my free trial and subscribed to Crunchyroll, which the app isn't as good as Anime Lab, but Crunchyroll basically bought Anime Lab, so it's like, thank you. Now I'm forced into this terrible looking app, but it has all the content.
Unfortunately, the anime scene seems to be in an awkward
consolidating.
transitionary phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it is what it
just
is.
to the context of how stupid things went, they brought out the service of Anime Lab in Australia.
Yeah.
Everyone was happy. Then they brought out Funimation in Australia, and then people moved to Funimation. Some people stayed on Anime Lab. But then Funimation Australia said, no, we're shutting down. You have to go to Anime Lab. So everyone went to Anime Lab. And then Anime Lab said, you know what? We're turning into Funimation. So you go to Funimation again.
What?
Yes. And then finally, once everyone was finally on Funimation and happy, they said, we're merging with Crunchyroll. See you later. Like, it was a goof and a half.
God.
It was,
like,
yes.
There's been so many flip-flops. And again, people would question, like, do you wonder why we maybe seek alternate sources for...
Especially in Australia, we get shot. Like,
especially considering that essentially all the properties are owned by one or two people, but yet Anime Lab has all the old content that I would like to watch. But if you want to watch new content, you have to go to a different service, even though it's all at this point the one company. Kinda. It's ridiculous.
It's really strange. And also the apps. Just make the apps look nice, man. This company must be worth a few dollars.
No, it's not just all of the anime apps are bottom barrel garbage tier apps.
Yeah,
no
but
profiles, no effort, nothing. Like Binge looks like a miracle.
You're the only anime app in Australia. Have user profiles.
Yeah,
I know nothing about it, the behind the scenes, but how hard can it be?
It's not hard. They just don't care, James.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, anime fans, but the apps are garbage.
Well, if Amazon, the biggest company in the world, can't fix their app, then I don't.
No,
think
but
there's
Amazon,
hope.
the Amazon app's a lot better than people give it credit for. Yeah, it's ugly,
Oh, yeah,
but it
it's
works
better.
well and it has profiles.
Yeah,
it's still
true.
better than Crunchyroll.
Yeah,
I just want to have my own personal watch list. Is that so hard?
Yeah.
It's harder than fighting the gun demon. Evidently.
All right, I'll keep an eye out for that.
That's all I've got for this week, guys.
I'm sorry, James. What have you been watching?
No, that's all right. Well, I did. Speaking of Top Gun, which I mentioned before, I saw Top Gun Maverick again for a second time.
Does it still hold up?
It's so damn good.
With your dad?
Yeah, my dad.
Did he like it?
Yeah.
Did Andre liked it?
Yeah, because for context, my dad is a big aircraft nerd. He loves aircraft, and he loves obviously movies about planes, and so
Does he like Con Air?
I think so. Yeah,
Very good.
Of course he does.
Although I wouldn't call that a plane movie.
Hey,
It's in a plane.
How much time is spent on the plane? And
Yeah,
they land the plane in Vegas
Fair
and
enough.
stuff.
Yeah.
Continue, sorry.
Yeah, and so obviously he wanted to see Top Gun Maverick, but he couldn't last week, and I went with you guys, and then I said, I'll go with you next week. So we went again. Such a good movie. So
Still killing it at the box office too.
yeah, and it's doing really well.
Apparently, it's Tom Cruise's one of his best-selling movies.
Yeah, which I'm hoping that it's doing well. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna rush a sequel, because that I wouldn't want them to do that. But I hope it does mean that studios will pay attention and say, there is a
place,
a market for a big kind of more 90s style action
self-contained
movie.
action adventure.
But on the other hand, because it's got Tom Cruise in it, who's one of the biggest names in the world and in the industry, that adds a layer of it only did well because of him. And it also is a sequel, so it's already got the inbuilt brand recognition. So I don't think studios are really going to see this as people want practical stunts.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the reviews I've seen actually say the same things we said on our review. It's great to see a movie that does real things, CG, but minimal CG, just where it needs to.
Yeah.
Real stunts. The story's not too heavy. It's just this fun kind of action adventure movie. Good piece of army propaganda. Navy propaganda, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I think... Yeah, it's
so
just...
a lot of people are saying the same things we're saying, so hopefully the studios are taking note.
From my perspective, is when John Wick came out, the same thing happened. People were like, oh my God, it's so great to see a 90s style practical action movie. But it's the industry never changed.
Seems to capitalize on it, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're making so much money from the superhero movies and the kids movies that they're not going to...
Yeah.
Even though that's what a lot of reviewers want.
Yeah.
A lot of the mainstream audiences don't care at the end of the day.
No.
If Top Gun Maverick was just CGI nonsense, I'm sure most audience members would be like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Whereas people like us would have been like, that's garbage.
Yeah.
It's just this weird thing where most people just don't care at the end of the day. We're the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we're exceptional, but we're the exception to... Well, yeah, we kind of...
So what else have you been watching, though?
Oh, no, just on Top Gun, I can't wait for the 4K to come out.
Yeah.
I actually want to watch it again.
Especially if there's special features, deleted scenes.
Yeah, I want to
great.
see the behind the scenes, because they've been releasing stuff online on YouTube, behind the scenes.
I'd love to see them strapping a camera to a jet. That's what I want to see, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope the 4K release has a lot of special features and is not just a couple of things here and there.
I want to see Tom Cruise working out. Yeah.
Yeah, his full routine.
That's it. Extended volleyball sequence.
the 4 hour. Give us the volleyball hashtag. Release the volleyball cut.
That's it.
Did you guys watch the new season of Love, Death and Robots?
No. I'm 2 seasons behind.
I've been a bit...
You still haven't watched the first season?
No. We're up to the 3rd season, aren't we? Or was that announced?
No, we're up to the
first
3rd.
season.
He's
I
watched the
haven't
first
seen-
season.
I haven't seen
the
the
first
second.
season's the best
Okay.
season.
Yeah.
I'm
Which one's got
You
the alien that puts you in a trance and then you...
The first season.
Yeah. When you get... it was the one where they're trapped in space somewhere. They spend too much time in cryosleep.
Oh,
The
yeah,
first
that was
season,
the first season. Yeah.
I'm a bit stinky on Netflix right now because of all the cancellations.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, we talked about not too long ago about Netflix. We're kind of a bit iffy on now, and they're not...
What is it? Live long enough. What is that? What's that saying?
Oh,
you
yeah.
either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which, might be what's happening. But when quality stuff like this comes out,
So
God,
it's
I love
good.
Netflix.
It's good.
Like this, I loved every single one.
Is it better than season 2?
Yeah. But season 2 was good.
Yeah.
Maybe not as good as the first.
All right, I'll rephrase my question. Are there more diverse animation styles than season 2?
Yes, but there's only 9 episodes, or 8 or 9 episodes, so it's not a huge...
Yeah, but season 2 was
variation.
only similar length,
Yeah, I
wasn't
think
it?
it's the same, yeah.
I'm going to have to get on it then.
But get on it, because they're
Yeah.
short. They're short. You can binge it all in a night. That's
Yeah.
what I did. They're really good, shorts, and obviously it's great that Netflix is supporting these animators and
All right.
getting...
David Fincher, that's all very good, but can you please go back to Mindhunter? Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I just love that they're doing this. I want more, especially after the first season. We're like, oh, I don't think they're going to do any more. And then the second season came out of nowhere, and then this one came out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, I think this is a thing now. I hope they keep it going.
I do like from the trailer that they reused some of the robots from season 2.
Yeah, those funny little robots. They have a short. The best short of the new season is the last one, Hibaro, which is by the guy who did the short called The Witness in the first season, and it is crazy, and I loved it. It is one of the best animated things I've seen. It blew my mind. It was just, oh my God, so good. So yeah, check that out. But yeah, I hope they do more, because the more stuff like this, the better.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about The Orville now, or wait till it's finished?
Wait till it's finished.
Okay.
I refuse to watch it on SBS.
Yeah, because the first 2 seasons are on Disney Plus, and because of Australian rights issues strike again.
advertised that it was coming to Disney.
Yeah, it probably is, but not for a few months. But yeah, we'll talk about that later. All right, last thing before we. Actually, we forgot to talk about the streaming wars.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah,
I liked it. I liked aspects of it.
I
don't know that it's as good as the last
it's
special.
not as good as the COVID specials, but I think it's better than the last season that came out. This is South Park, by the way, that we're talking about.
Yeah,
I
that's
haven't seen it.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
I haven't been watching much TV at all. So
No,
bear with me.
it's not.
Oh, we
you
won't
didn't-
talk about it. Then,
You
but
didn't miss all that much. There was some
it's definitely worth watching. Though.
It's worth watching. There's some stand-up moments.
It's pretty funny.
There were some stand-up moments with, is it Butters specifically?
Butters, yeah.
Butters, yeah.
I mean, everyone had good moments, but yeah.
Yeah, essentially,
just
it's trying to be a commentary on like the TV streaming wars and rights and stuff like that. And
but instead, it's literally about.
But instead, it's literally about water rights and they're like the stream wars.
Yeah, and then they also bring in the climate change thing, which
Man, Bear, Pig,
which they talked about on another season. But yeah, no, just because I remember we talked about the COVID specials and Callum wanted to talk about it, so I thought you would talk about that. But yeah, that was good. And last thing before we end up, I rewatched A Knight's Tale for the first time in 20 years.
How good is it?
So good.
Such a good movie.
Is it on 4K?
No, that's what, like, it's only had a Blu-ray release in the US.
Yeah.
And it's like an early Blu-ray, like 2007.
Yeah. I think we
It's a
imported
1080i Blu-ray.
I think we
I don't think it's 1080i, but it's pretty.
Do you remember I bought Halloween on 1080i?
Yeah. And like A Knight's Tale, the Blu-ray's it's pretty rough, and it's bare bones. There's no special features.
But what a wonderful film.
But yeah, so I'm hoping that it gets, if not a 4K release, then a remastered Blu-ray at some point, because it's such a great film, and Heath Ledger was so good, and it was such a big loss.
Chemistry was so great.
Yeah, when he died, and yeah, I hadn't seen it since
years.
Since I was little, and I just, even though they play it on TV, once in a while, I just never rewatched it, even though, everyone knows the whole like the Queen song and stuff, and so you're like, yeah, I remember that. But yeah, I hadn't rewatched the whole thing in such a long time, and it was so much fun. Such a good movie. That's another kind of movie they don't make at Cine anymore.
Totally,
just like a fun comedy adventure.
Yeah.
Yes, they do on Netflix, but those movies tend not to be very good. But
I forgot to mention a film I watched recently.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yojimbo.
Oh, yeah.
Such a... I mean, we don't have time to take a deep dive into it, but really stylish.
You know what?
Save it for next week.
Put a pin in it. We'll pick it up next week. And when we did our 100th episode, we talked about some of our favorite movies, some of our favorite directors, and I brought up Akira Kurosawa, who made Yojimbo. And then we started to run out of time, and we're like, and we didn't get to talk about our favorite actors, which we were going to talk about. And we kind of had to wrap up the director's part. Because, you know, I think I mentioned Paul Verhoeven. I was like, I didn't even get to talk about RoboCop, which is one of my
the director, not
movies.
the ABC presenter.
Yes, Cal. And so maybe next week or the week after, or the week after that, we could do like a favorite director's long segment episode and a favorite actor's episode. So
sounds good to me.
Put a pin in that. We'll talk about that another time.
Just quickly, did we talk about the Morbius shenanigans with the memory?
Look, it's Morbin time.
Actually,
I didn't see
tell
it.
him we won't talk about that next week. We'll talk about
I didn't see it, but apparently there's a part where he morbs and it's awesome.
The more morbs, the better.
Yeah.
Yes, so good that they put it back in the cinemas and it.
Flops
No,
twice.
what's so great, for people who are listening who don't know, Morbius came out. No one watched it because it looks like crap
And they
no one
delayed it
cares.
and
And
there's a whole thing.
they made it for a side villain from Spider-Man that they're making into like a superhero movie. No one cared. But for some reason, there was a huge meme community that came up around it where people were making memes. And
it's Morbin time.
yeah,
and so
like
on.
using Morb puns. And there's a whole Discord like with Morb memes. And Sony saw this and thought, oh, maybe this movie
What is it?
has
They-
more
what's
fans
that
than we
Arrested
thought.
Development quote? They're laughing with us, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they re-released the movie and no one saw it again for the second time. It's hilarious.
Did it make, 350,000 all up?
It made like 80 grand this second time or
Did
something.
it? Okay,
it was
my bad.
nothing. It was like $100 a cinema, like
Yeah, $82 a cinema or something like that. Yeah.
It's just pathetic.
Oh, jeez.
It's just, the whole thing is hilarious.
But the fact that they, kind of scammed Sony into doing this with the memes, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, the internet is a powerful and scary thing. All right, I think that's all.
I think we're out of time. Thank you for listening, everybody. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. You can listen on Anchor, Apple Podcasts,
Spotify.
Spotify, wherever else you listen. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.